This is a reading from the Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis. Chapter 37. How Surrender of Self Brings Freedom of Heart. Christ, my son, renounce self, and you shall find me. Matthew chapter 16, verse 24. Retain no private choice or personal interest, and you will always be the gainer. As soon as you yield yourself unreservedly into my hands, I will grant you even richer graces. The disciple. How often shall I yield myself, and in what way forsake myself, Lord? Christ. Always and at all times, in small things as well as in great. I make no exceptions, for I desire to have you wholly divested of self. Otherwise, unless you are wholly stripped of self-will, how can you be mine or I yours? The sooner you do this, the better it will be with you, and the more completely and sincerely you do it, the better you will please me, and the greater will be your gain. Some resign themselves, but with some reservation. These do not put their whole trust in God, and are therefore concerned to provide for themselves. Others at first offer everything, but later are overcome by temptation, and return to their former state. These make very little progress in virtue, and will never obtain the true freedom of heart, nor enjoy the favor of my friendship. Exodus chapter 33, verse 2. John chapter 15, verse 14 and 15. Unless they first make a complete surrender and daily offerings of themselves to me. Without this, no fruitful union with me can exist or endure. I have often said to you, and I now say once more, renounce yourself, surrender yourself, and you shall enjoy great inner peace. Give all for all, look for nothing, ask nothing in return, rest purely and trustingly in me, and you shall possess me. Then you will be free in heart, and no darkness will oppress your soul. Strive for this, pray for this, desire this one thing, that you may be stripped clean of all selfishness and follow Jesus in complete self-abandonment, dying to self, that you may live to me forever. Then will all vain fantasies be put to flight, and all evil disorders and groundless fears vanish. Then will all fear and dread depart, and all disordered love die in you. Chapter 38. On the right ordering of our affairs. Christ, my son, take great care to ensure that in every place, action, and outward occupation you remain inwardly free, and your own master. Control circumstances, and do not allow them to control you, only so you can be master and ruler of your actions, not their servant or slave. A free man and a true Christian, enjoying the freedom and high destiny of the children of God. Romans chapter 8, verse 21. These stand above the things of time and view those of eternity, seeing in their true light both earthly and heavenly things. The things of this world have no hold over the children of God. On the contrary, they draw them into their service, and employ them in the ways ordained by God and established by the heavenly architect, who has left nothing in his creation without its due place. Stand firm in all circumstances. Do not judge by outward appearances or reports, as men do, but in each instance enter like Moses into the tabernacle. Exodus chapter 33, verse 8. To ask guidance of the Lord. Sometimes you will receive God's answer, and return instructed on many matters, both present and future. For Moses always had recourse to the tabernacle to obtain an answer to his doubts and questions, and he took refuge in prayer to support him amidst the dangers and wickedness of men. Similarly must you take refuge in the depths of your heart, and pray most earnestly for God's help. We read that Joshua and the children of Israel were deceived by the men of Gibeon, Joshua chapter 9, verse 22, because they had not first asked counsel of God. Therefore, in giving credit to their statements, they were misled by their pretended piety. Chapter 39. How we shall not be over-anxious. Christ, my son, always commit your cause to me, and I will bring it to good issue in due time. Wait until I order it, and you will find it to your advantage. The disciple, Lord, I readily commit everything into your hands, for my own judgment is of small value. I wish I were less concerned about the future, and could unreservedly submit myself to your good pleasure. Christ, my son, a man often labors incessantly to obtain his desire, but when he has obtained it, he begins to change his mind. For man's affections do not remain constant, but tend to move from one object to another. It is therefore no small advantage if a man can renounce self, even in small things. Man's true spiritual progress depends on the denial of self, and he who renounces self is completely free and secure. But the old enemy, 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, the adversary of all good, never ceases to tempt man. Day and night he lies in ambush, hoping to trap the unwary into the snares of his deceit. Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. Matthew chapter 26, verse 41. Chapter 40. How man has no personal goodness of which to boast. The disciple. Lord, what is man that you are mindful of him, or the son of man that you visit him? Psalm 8, verse 4. What has man done to deserve your grace, Lord? I have no cause to complain if you abandon me, and if your will is contrary to my desires. I have no right to plead against it. But this I may rightly think and say, Lord, I am nothing, and I can do nothing. I have no good of myself, but am imperfect in every respect, and always tend to nothing. Unless you guide my soul and grant me strength, I become weak and completely helpless. You, O Lord, remain ever yourself. Psalm 52, verse 27. 102, verse 27. You, O Lord, remain ever yourself, abiding in eternity, good, just, and holy, ordering all things in goodness, justice, and holiness, and disposing them in wisdom. But I, who am always more ready to slip back than go forward, never remain the same, for 7 times have passed over me. Daniel chapter 4, verse 16. Yet when you deign to stretch your hand to help me, my state is quickly changed for the better. For you alone, and without human aid, can help and strengthen me, so that I may no longer be unstable, but turn my heart to you alone, and be at peace. No mortal man can comfort me, and if only I could wholly renounce all human comfort, whether to increase my devotion, or because my needs compel me to seek you, then I could rightly trust entirely to your grace, and rejoice in the gift of your renewed comfort. Whenever things go well with me, I offer thanks to you, from whom all proceeds. Before you I am empty, nothingness, a weak and unstable man. I have nothing of which to boast, nothing for which I merit any consideration. Can nothing boast of its nothingness? This would be the height of vanity. Empty conceit is like an evil disease, and the most monstrous of vanities, for it leads a man away from true glory, and robs him of the heavenly grace. For so long as a man is filled with complacency, he displeases you, and while he hankers after popularity and praise, he is deprived of true virtue. True glory and holy joy are to be found in giving glory not to self, but to you, rejoicing not in one's own strength, but in your name, taking no pleasure in creatures, unless it be for your sake. Praised be your holy name, not mine. I will raise your name, but not on my own. I will esteem your doings, not my own. I will bless your holy name. I desire no share in the praises of men. You alone are my glory. You alone are the joy of my heart. I will offer you praise and glory every hour of the day. But for myself, I will glory in nothing, unless it be my own weakness. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 5. Let the Jews seek such glory as men give to one another. John chapter 5, verse 44. I will seek the glory that God alone can give. For all human glory, all this world's honors, all earthly titles, compared with your eternal glory, are mere vanity and foolishness. O blessed Trinity, my God, my truth, my mercy, to you alone let all things ascribe all praise, honor, power, and glory throughout endless ages. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 17.